Shouldn't financial advice focus on you, your goals, challenges, dreams for the future? At Modern Woodman, our goal is to help you plan for your financial security. Our representatives are people you can trust to help bring your dreams to life. Modern Woodman can help you plan for all stages of life, from protection to saving to retirement.
Contact your local representative at Arthur today at 989-834-3300.
Modern Woodman of America, touching lives, securing futures.
This podcast contains some strong language and some stories involving violence. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome to Warfighters United, where veterans' voices are heard and transitional programs and resources are provided. Today's podcast is brought to you by Modern Woodman Fraternal Financial, an organization that will help you navigate life's most important decisions, from life insurance to college and financial planning. Modern Woodman has your family covered. To find more, become part of the Modern Woodman family and go to modernwoodman.org. Today in studio with us, I have two veterans, Al Batchelder and Steve Hammond. Al is the post commander of 701 VFW here in Lansing, and Steve is also a part of the VFW here in Lansing. But he is the chairman of the fundraiser that we're going to be talking about the USS Indianapolis. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, so tell me a little bit about your history. Al, you said you served in Vietnam?
No, I was in the Vietnam era. I was in from 1969 to 72. However, I didn't go to Vietnam. I went to Korea, which also was a hazardous duty situation at that time. And so I put a year and a half in Korea, then went to Okinawa, then I came back. My goal was to go in as an MP, military police, get out and enter the Michigan State Police Academy. My goal fell short, however, when I found out the state was bankrupt and the academy was not open. So I had to go look for other sources of income, and I filed for the state exam, and I became an employee of the Michigan Liquor Control Commission for the state of Michigan.
Oh, okay. See, you're the guy that everybody likes.
Yeah.
Especially if they need a permit or something.
Yeah, at some point. Yeah.
And how long have you been a part of the VFW?
I've been a part of the VFW about 15 years.
15 years, and what made you want to be a post commander?
Well, I started out running a few chairs. Chairs are elected seats within the VFW. And I thought, well, do I want to be commander? Do I want to be the commander? And I thought, yeah, I guess I'll give it a shot. So I don't know, just decided to do it.
No, all right. And Steve, you're the chairman of the fundraiser we'll be talking about. What made you join? You said you're in the Air Guard?
Yeah, I started out in the Army Guard in Ionia, Michigan at the Ionia Armory when they had an armory. That unit unfortunately disbanded in 94. Really sad because it goes back all the way around Civil War days. And I knew a guy that was in there in World War II, got activated in 1940. He was one of three brothers, and he was real sick and didn't know if he'd make it to the 50th anniversary when they activated October 1940, when Franklin Roosevelt did it, year before Pearl Harbor, all the Guard units in the nation. He did make it, though, and he passed away a few months after that, unfortunately. But all three brothers made it back. But that unit is part of the Green Mountain boys, I think they call them, out there in New Guinea or something like that. There's a book on it, too. All the West Michigan National Guard units, including Ionia, was part of that, along with units from Illinois and Wisconsin. They got hit pretty bad because they were there before we had any troops there could support them. You know, they were already trained and they were always heading nowhere after Pearl Harbor. But it was a really sad day in 94 when I saw that armory close for good. It's still there. The Ionia runs it. And then I joined over to Ann Arbor Monroe, and I became Monroe unit, and that was all in Signal Company. Unfortunately, those units don't belong either. They were close too, and Monroe was really sad too because they had a militia unit all the way back in the War of 1812, the Battle of River Raisin. They defended that area. So you're talking not just Civil War, but you're talking War of 1812. And of course, Custer was from that area too, also with a big statue. It's down there still, but it's really sad to see that. But I transferred from the Army Guard to the Air Guard, and I was civil engineer, and I served over in Operation Southern Watch in 2000. Then afterwards, during the Afghanistan thing in 04, I was in, it was 02, right before the Iraq started. I was in Afghanistan, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait. And then in 04, I was in Israel for about a month during the Iraq thing. And I was there in Eilat. We had some time off right by the Red Sea when they're all celebrating Saddam Hussein just got captured.
Yeah, well, I remember that day when he got captured. I had the pleasure of going to Iraq twice, in 03 and in 04, and to 05.
By the way, real quick, though, we did do a lot of, on Bahrain, we serviced a lot of the reverse osmosis units from the Persian Gulf so that troops can be fed fresh water. Stuff like that.
We didn't, for the first month, we were drinking out of water bottles. We'd hang them in socks on the side of the vehicle, drive down the road, and that was the only way we could get them cold. So we weren't drinking 100-degree water. But so how did you get involved with the VFW?
Basically, a guy I worked with named Doug Massaw, who's a friend of ours there. He's the chaplain of the unit, is he? Doug is?
Yeah.
And he was a Vietnam veteran. He was a Marine over there in Vietnam. And he basically, when he found out I went to Israel, I've been trying a couple times to get in the VFW from 2 times to Saudi, but they said I didn't have enough time. Well, Israel put me over the hump. So I said, yeah, get me in there. By that time, my dad, who was a World War II vet, a Navy Seabee at the end of the war in New Guinea and Guam and stuff, he had already passed away. So Doug Massaw, he said, yeah, I'll get you in. So they overwhelmingly voted me in, I guess. You know?
Okay.
But I didn't know at the time that we found out later, we'll talk about Dick Thalen, survivor of the Indianapolis, was in it too. That was right after I knew about the ship.
Okay. And so about 4 years ago, you guys started fundraising for, explain what you guys are fundraising for on the USS Indianapolis.
Basically, what it is this gentleman, here's a picture I'm showing you right here. Mm-hmm. They can't see it, of course, on anybody listening to this, is Richard P. Thalen from Lansing. That's his World War II photo that you're looking at right now, too, right probably at Great Lakes over there on Illinois at that time, which is basically where my dad and all the Navy from this area trained for. Mm-hmm. And he was a survivor of the worst sea disaster probably in U.S. Navy history. And he was from Michigan, obviously, too. Now, what it was is, I didn't know it, but when I read the first book, I didn't know anything about the Indy. I've been a military person, even in the military and stuff like that, before. And obviously, we know about World War II. We know about Pearl Harbor. We know about D-Day. We know about Midway. We know about Battle of Bulge. We know all the leaders, both sides. And all of a sudden, I faintly saw something in a Parade magazine in 2000 about a ship that delivered the atomic bomb components and was sunk later, and the captain was court-martialed later. And I didn't pay much attention to it. And then finally, my military book club I belonged to, being in the military there, it said, abandoned ship on it that talked about the same thing. Okay, so I ordered it, and it was the first book written about the Indianapolis disaster. And it was like in the 60s by Richard Newcomb. And I couldn't put it down when I read it.
Okay.
And when I read it, I met a survivor from Grand Rapids named William Mulvey. He was still alive at the time. He was like in his late 80s, early 90s. And he told me a lot of stories before Indianapolis. He was in the service before in 38.
Okay.
So he was over in the Philippines when the Japanese bombed that same day as Pearl Harbor.
Oh,
so
wow.
he could tell you a lot of stories. And anyway, got to the India thing. He was given last rites by a Catholic priest twice in Guam. He was really bad off, Bill was. And anyway, he was had IVs in his arm and his legs. He was that bad. I mean, he was salt water up in his nose, mouth, and his throat was almost swollen shut. And everything like that was that bad. You saw a picture before I saw you of them, what they looked like when they were rescued.
Yeah, they did not look good.
No. But anyway, once I did that, I talked to Doug at work there. We worked at Ionia Maximum together.
Okay.
On third shift at that time. Later, we worked day shift and stuff. But he said, Steve, we got somebody in my VFW unit that was a member. Oh, okay. Richard Thalen. Okay. I didn't meet Dick then yet. And so finally, I was going to meet him, but Bill Mulvey had passed away. And his funeral was going to be up in Grand Rapids, where he's from, where I live too. And I said, is he going to go to that? I asked, yeah, sure. And Doug called me the next day. Yeah, he's going to meet you right there. Since then, Dick and I and his family became real good friends. And then I came down here to see more meetings. Me and Dick played euchre with him a lot. Dick liked doing that a lot with all his fellow members and stuff like that too. So people ask me, why don't you transfer to Grand Rapids? No, I'm going to stay in Lansing. That's where Dick was. So I probably will stay here permanently, to be honest, even though I live up in Grand Rapids.
Yeah.
Because of all the friends I've got, and because I was close to Dick and all that stuff, too. And basically, I found out, too, there's other books written on the Indy that we can talk about later.
Okay.
But that's pretty much right there how we did. And then, of course, Al welcomed me and Doug and all the other people that were there, too.
Mm-hmm. So explain. So you've been fundraising for 4 years. To where is this monument going to be at?
Well, first of all, I want to go back. We've been trying to raise money for longer than that. I don't know exact date. I brought it to Dick Thalen in 16 when I found out there was so many people from Michigan were on the ship. I know some lost at sea families from Grand Rapids. That one guy was only 2 years old in Grand Rapids. He wants to keep his dad nameless right now. When he lost his dad there, and then another one. I met a granddaughter of another lost at sea from Grand Rapids just not even a year or so ago, and I know some from around the nation too. But we're going to talk mainly about Michigan right here. But there was 99 on the ship now. Somebody's working with me from Detroit that found a plaque that they had all the lost at sea listed from Michigan years ago. It was stolen at the Coast Guard on the outside. Really? Well, anyway, and they found it recently in Detroit Archives in a warehouse. Okay. But they found it. That's going to go to the Detroit Historical Museum inside, so it's going to be protected now. But anyway, I talked to Dick in 2016, which is almost 10 years ago. So Dick, and there's other memorials of the ship. The main memorial is down there in Indianapolis itself with all their names on, all 1,197 on there, and stars next to survivors, including Dick's name and another guy named Harold Bray from the Upper Peninsula. And by the way, Harold is, I told you before, but I'll let these people know too, that he's the last survivor as of this day that's still alive. He used to live up in a small town called Ramsey near Wisconsin, but he's from Michigan. So his name will be on this memorial we're talking about. But anyway, Dick was all for it, so we actually started the ball rolling in 2016 from ideas from me and him. So ever since then we finally got the VFW, was it probably about...
Yeah, we got started in 2022 is when my minute started. So Steve has been working on this, trying to get it together much longer than we have been involved as a post. But he has a pretty good history of what he's been doing. Our post got involved in 2022. We started having formal meetings and keeping minutes and coming up with plans on what kind of a memorial we wanted, and Steve had talked to the state capitol.
So what goes into that when you talk to the state capitol and you say, hey, I want to start a memorial, I want to put it... How do you find the location, and who approves that kind of stuff?
Well, what it was is at the time, Governor Schneider was the governor. And I called the state capitol itself, and I explained things, and they said, well, it has to be certain things to get it on state capitol grounds. So, but they referred me to a guy named John Juarez. Last I knew, he's still working for the state there at right near the Michigan History Museum and stuff like that, and the Hall of Justice and all that area. Basically, they were getting together a Veterans Memorial Park where the Michigan-Vietnam wall is, it's listed by counties, and the law enforcement officers, one with them killed in the line of duty from Michigan, too. They've had problems. They didn't have anything set up, and John was telling me about it, but we want, if there's that many from Michigan, we want to have your memorial here in front of the Hall of Justice, right near the Michigan History Museum, which is an obvious place. It's probably going to be better than having the state capitol, to be honest with you. It'll be near that, but it's like you'll get more open, as you know, if you've probably been down there in front of the Hall of Justice there on the east side. That way people can walk through, and they were getting it together. And because then Whitmer became governor, they had to switch everything over to her. All the heads of departments of the state had to sign the rules. They had to get all new rules because they've had vandalism and erosion problems with both those monuments I just mentioned. Of course. And unfortunately, they had to take out taxpaying money, which is not unfortunate, but they didn't have a maintenance fund. Meaning, if they have something in there, it costs so much, they can just take it out of there and let it collect interest too, and all that time too. And they have one in the city of Indianapolis where, I don't want to bring up sore spots, but what happened recently during the Chauvin Floyd riots around the nation, Indianapolis, this memorial got spray painted and scraped.
Oh, that's despicable.
And they did the Medal of Honor Memorial in Indianapolis itself. Indianapolis, you ever go downtown, they go all out for veterans. And if you mention anything about the USS Indianapolis, they'll love you. They'll treat you. They are very proud. The state of Indiana is, too, that this ship was named after their state capital and their city. Right. It really was. And anyway, I can explain why all them things are named later, the ships that you asked me before. But anyway, but bottom line is, they set up the rules here in Michigan, but they didn't have any. And all department heads did, and of course, Governor Whitmer signed it off just like that. And the last year that Dick was around, I was headed to his house, Skype, that too. And one of his daughters, Barb Ketchum, was there with us too. And we were talking with John Juarez and their committee on Skype, and basically they all said that you're going to get this land. It's just going to be a formality because there's a lot of land left on there too. And they want, and this is going to be about Michigan history, which obviously this qualifies it.
Oh, yeah.
I found out recently that, now I always thought Michigan was the second highest with 99 on the ship. I thought California with 130, but there's been a lot of, the guy that's working with me from Detroit, getting the record straight, he's been in the National Archives, not just the state archives, and found out that actually Michigan is the highest.
So Michigan had the highest number of people on the USS Indianapolis
when it sank.
And so when was the USS Indianapolis made? Was it 1932?
Yes, it was, I think, commissioned in 1932. I'm sure it was all built before that. I mean, the official like that, too. Dick Thalen explained to me how the ships were named back then.
Okay.
And this is before World War II, of course. But battleships were always named after states, obviously. You look at Pearl Harbor, the Arizona, the Utah, California, the Nevada, then the Missouri, where they signed the peace thing in Tokyo Bay with MacArthur and all them. You name it, Texas,
right?
Iowa.
Isn't the piece when they flew the bomb over to hit them back after that happened at Pearl Harbor? They took those medals that were given from them during that peace signing, and they attached them to the bombs so we could give them back. But
I remember that, yeah. But without getting off track on all that stuff. But anyway, destroyers were named after admirals in the Navy. And like the
Nimitz and
no, that was after World War II. What you're thinking of?
Okay.
Right there. Like the Talbot, the Annan, those are famous admiral names that we've never heard of, but the Navy has stuff like that too. Aircraft carriers are basically named back then after famous battles: the Lexington, the Yorktown, the Saratoga, and then even insects like the wasp and the hornet.
Okay.
There's one though that they didn't name after. It's called the Enterprise. And that actually, a little bit of trivia for you if you're a Star Trek fan. I am. Gene Roddenberry was a World War II veteran, Army Air Corps in the Pacific. He actually, from my information, I could be wrong, he actually wanted the first starship on Star Trek named after the Yorktown. But the people at NBC or somebody said that doesn't sound right. So can you imagine William Shatner and then later in The Next Generation, Patrick Stewart saying these are the voyages of the Starship Yorktown?
Mm-hmm.
Enterprise definitely fit that whole thing. But basically, that's where that, to my knowledge, it came from, for the TV show.
That's a good piece of history there.
And the Enterprise is, of course, real aircraft carrier, obviously. But anyway, now cruisers, the Indianapolis was, they were named after cities, Dick Thalen told me. The Indianapolis, they got the Salt Lake City, they got the Detroit, they had the San Francisco, the Little Rock,
And what does a cruiser do?
Cruiser has a heavy firepower, more than the destroyer. It's like 3 football lengths long, the Indianapolis was. So they do have more firepower than the destroyer does. I didn't know that.
Okay.
That's what Dick Thalen and other veterans, survivors, had told me that, that survived this whole thing. I talked survivors from Tennessee and other states, too. And, yeah, I mean, that Indy earned 10 battle stars during the war, by the way.
And so explain what that is for our guys and listeners that don't know what a battle star is. Is that they get a star every conflict that they get into?
Pretty much what it is. I mean, I got it somewhere where they were all in. I could name them all, but the main ones basically were the Alatians up there. They were up there in Alaska. And then, of course, there was Okinawa was the last one, and then Iwo Jima. And there's a lot of others, too, there, too, that, veterans told me that he saw when they bombed the main island, Honshu, there, where Tokyo's at in Japan. They said his peripheral vision was all flames from all the ships and planes we were sending to him. There was like a lot of people were dead.
Oh yeah, of course.
But basically he told me that eyewitnesses, a couple of them told me that they were on the Indy way before they delivered the atomic bomb. But that's what a battle star is. That 10 battle stars is a lot.
Yeah, it seems like a lot.
And the USS Alabama, the battleship that's still down in Mobile Bay, down there where a famous baseball player, Bob Feller from the Cleveland Indians played. It's still got his baseball. He signed on her bat and his bunk right there. It's worth seeing. Anybody that's listening to this, go to Mobile Bay and see it. I actually met Bob Feller in Grand Rapids once. He told me about it.
Yeah.
But the USS Alabama, why I bring that up, is they have 9 battle stars. So the Indy has 1 more than them, but which doesn't matter. They're both definitely recognizable ships that we should recognize, and crews, of course.
I mean, just being, it was built in 1939. or 30,
32.
32?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And it was sank in what, 1945?
Yep.
So, I mean, you're talking 13 years old and got 10 battle stars.
Yeah.
That's almost a star every year.
Yeah,
Pretty
more than
much,
that, actually.
pretty
Yeah.
busy ship.
Well, it is every year, yeah, but in World War II, as you know, when we started in Pearl Harbor, yeah, you take 4 years of the war right there, too, and like that's a lot of battle stars now. 4 years.
Yeah, so the Indianapolis was at Pearl Harbor?
No, it was not. I heard that it was in a part of a task force. Again, don't quote me on this, but I've read a lot of books about it. It was in a task force out in the sea with looking probably for the Japanese right now.
Well, a lot of what Indianapolis did was all top secret anyways, especially if it had compartment or components for the atomic bomb.
It did. That was their last mission, unfortunately. And basically, what the real story of the Indianapolis is starts at Okinawa. I mean, all that other is definitely a commission. It was a ship of state for President Franklin Roosevelt in the 30s to go to a diplomatic thing in South America and like that. But they still got the stateroom till the ship sank, by the way of his, too.
Really?
Yeah. But anyway, the real story starts at the Battle of Okinawa in March of 45, where it was hit by a kamikaze plane. It hit one of the forward turrets, killed about 9 servicemen, and injured about 20, maybe 30 others.
You imagine kamikaze, and like you never think about these guys. They knew when they were going up in that plane that they were going to purposely fly it into a ship and kill themselves for their country.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
it's unbelievable.
And here's another thing, too. He actually dropped his bomb, and it went through the turrets. And went through underneath the ship, and it exploded and pushed it up while he hit the deck.
Oh, wow.
So, and the bravery of the captain and crew at the time, and I talked to crew members that were still alive, you know, that told me they just, wow, it was such a ear-deafening thing when they heard that hit. Part of it was probably the bomb that pushed them up out of the water. But bottom line is, though, the bravery of the crew at the time saved that ship from sinking then. And unfortunately, not to get into the big story of it, the captain was awarded the Bronze Star, but he never saw it.
Okay.
They opened his file after his court-martial and found it was there. Never awarded to him.
Right. So explain. So, like when I was reading about the Indianapolis, the 3 distress calls they actually found out that made it. I read one guy or one of the people it went to that was in charge was drunk, so he didn't do anything. The second one was sleeping and said not to be disturbed. And the third one didn't believe that it was real.
Stand with those who served. Join your local Michigan VFW, where veterans find support, purpose, and community. Learn more at vfwmi.org. That's vfwmi.org.
Again,
Is that accurate, or?
It's a lot of it is. I'll back up a little bit there too. They first of all in Okinawa they repaired their battle damage at Mare Island and San Francisco Harbor. They needed new crew members, and guess what? Dick Thalen and Harold Bray, whose name's going to be on this Memorial for Michigan, they were 2 new crew members. Dick told me a story, and Harold Bray too, same story. When they got to San Francisco, line up, count by 2s. And number 1s go to Battleship New Jersey, 2 go to Indianapolis. They both said, Dick especially told all of us, that I didn't realize within 2 weeks I'd be fighting for my life on the water like that.
Plus, he was just 17 years old at the time.
He was.
Wow,
So was Harold,
17.
too. Yeah.
So he wasn't even 18 yet.
He had to have his dad's permission. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So
This
he
is-
didn't lie about it to get
and
in, because I know
that's-
that happened a lot back then.
And this was his first duty.
Yeah, and Harold Bray's, too, first duty. And anyway, when they were there waiting, they got new replacements. It was all battle damage, all taken care of in dry dock at Mare Island. All of a sudden, they get orders from the top dog, which was President Harry S. Truman at the time. Take this package, big package, and small package to Teenan Island immediately now. Don't waste time.
And nobody knew about it. It was a secret mission.
Not even the captain.
Not even the captain.
No, they all made jokes about it in a documentary, which I recommend everybody see, called The Legacy by Sarah Vladeck. And they interview these guys. They wondered, Marines. I talked to the Marine named Edgar Harrell from Tennessee, who is gone now. He's being with the Lord right now. Good, solid Christian man. He told me that he guarded both of them. He was like the Marines on the ship, you know,
Yeah, they guarded
the big thing in there, and then he went upstairs, officers' quarter, where they had the uranium thing, a smaller package, and officers bolted to the desk or somewhere. Like he guarded both, not knowing what he was guarding. Now, they made jokes in that documentary that, well, maybe it's toilet paper or pipe cleaners for Douglas MacArthur, you know.
Actually, it was a dismantled atomic bomb, and they were delivering it to
Teenan Island
to be reassembled.
Yep.
And then dropped on
the Enola Gay that, I'm sorry to interrupt, Bob, the Enola Gay that, as you know, Colonel Tibbets flew over to Hiroshima and dropped it.
Right.
That was there at Teenan Island. That's where they took off.
Oh, that's where they took off from.
Yep, that's where they took off from. And
unfortunately, nobody knew that mission was delivering that bomb to Teenan Island. It was a secret. Nobody even knew. They made it there. They unloaded. And as they were returning their secret mission, that's when they got torpedoed.
Yeah, so on July 30th of 1945, the Indianapolis was struck on her side by 2 Type 95 torpedoes. One in the bow, one in the amidships from a Japanese submarine.
Yeah, commanded by Commander Hashimoto. It might have been Lieutenant Commander that time, but he was the captain of the submarine I-58. Yep.
And so he torpedoed the Indianapolis. But how long did it take for that to sink?
Well, basically, it was less than 15 minutes.
Less than 15 minutes. And so you had 1,198 people on board?
97.
97?
Yep.
And how many people actually got on lifeboats?
They only had a few lifeboats that made it out.
But
most of them were
floating in the ocean.
Yeah.
317.
I want to kind of back up a little bit here, too. When they dropped their cargo off of the atomic bomb components at Tina, they went to Guam for mail call. And one guy, I remember his name is Earl Henry Sr. from Tennessee. He's the ship's dentist, and his son was just born. And I'm friends with his son to this day, Henry Jr., in Nashville, Tennessee. And he got to see his son as a baby right there. And he was unfortunately lost at sea. But anyway, then they got orders to go to Leyte with the battleship Idaho, rendezvous with them for the invasion of Japan, which was supposed to be in November of 45. Nobody knew anything about the atomic bomb. Nobody did back then. Who would have known they'd destroy a whole city?
Right.
But anyway, then the captain asked, is there any enemy subs in the area been sighted? And they go, it's negligible. But the intelligence reports were locked in there saying that they're looking for 4 Japanese subs.
So there was 4 subs in the area.
There was 4 subs unaccounted for.
Okay.
And I-58 was one of them. And there was actually not even a week before that USS Underhill, I think was a destroyer that was sank by another of those enemy subs that were unaccounted for, but it was not relayed to the captain either. He asked for destroyer escort. Now, destroyers had sonar back then, but cruisers didn't. Heavy cruiser, like the Indy.
So there was no way for them to listen for these subs and even know that they were underneath them.
So they told, get there right away, okay, and zigzag at your discretion. Now, zigzagging is, it doesn't give, it goes one way and that way, this way. I'm not a Navy guy, but I'm just explaining how it's been explained, and I've read it like that too.
And they thought that was supposed to protect them, but when I was reading about it, the Yashimoto, he said it wouldn't have mattered whether they were zigzagging or not. He would have still shot it.
He was right there. I mean, he was too close. They had something what they called Caitlins, too, which were deadly. It was one-man torpedo. They sacrificed, like you mentioned, kamikaze. It's like a kamikaze torpedo.
Okay.
They can fly it right into the hull of the whole ship, and that would be deadly to the ship. But he didn't need to do that. He shot 6 torpedoes. 2, like you said, made direct hits up front. Dick was sleeping on deck. He said, when it hit, I either went 2 feet or 20 feet. I don't know.
Straight up.
Wow.
Yeah, straight up.
Straight up in the air he went.
And I don't know where Harold Bray was or any of the others, but it doesn't matter. They survived. But Bill Mulvey told me that he was on deck, too, from Grand Rapids. And it was all, total chaos from there. But unfortunately, yes, less than 15 minutes, the ship sank. Then you mentioned earlier about those 3 distress calls.
Yes.
Like you said, one officer, they relayed it to him. One was sent out. The first radio room up front was in flames. It wasn't working. Nobody could get up there. The second radio room was back where the captain went, Captain Charles McVeigh III, sent it out. He sent it out. Ralph Minear, who was a survivor too, saw the message was received. The needle went over, showing somebody received it. Through investigations after the whole disaster, 3 stations did receive it. One of them, as far as I've read, too, in my books that I've read about it, the officer was intoxicated. Don't worry about it. It's Japanese propaganda. Went to sleep. Another one, they fall back, let's see, confirm it. And, of course, by that time, the Indy had already sunk. And they were going to send out crews. Well, you don't have the authorization to do it, and they called them back. Third one, to this day, we really don't know officially why they didn't respond. But 3 stations did receive it.
Yeah, no, I was reading that, and it took, so the one main reason they found out, I heard, is because they didn't make it to their destination 5 days later. Is that true? Or?
No, what it is they were found by accident.
They were spotted in the air by a plane just flying by. His name was
Wilbur Chuck Gwynn. And I'm friends with his daughter. She's out in... Who
aren't you friends with?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I'm actually friends... I'm actually very well acquainted with Hashimoto's granddaughter.
Really?
I met his daughter, too. And his daughter was... her granddaughter is an American citizen in Illinois right now. And anyway, I've met her a few times, So I met the daughter, who still speaks Japanese. And I was standing right next to her. My dad and my friend Dick and all them fought against her father in the war. I got to say something nice to her. So I let God do it, and I said, your father was a brave man. And she didn't know what to say, so the daughter tried, and she bowed me and said, get a picture with it? Sure, yeah. We all put our arms around each other, took a picture. It was pretty cool.
Well, I mean, it's just like people going back to, Omaha Beach, all the World War II veterans on those hero flights.
Yeah.
And, I know Sammy L. Davis, when he went back to Vietnam, he actually met some of the Vietnamese that he was fighting against that day when he got his Medal of Honor.
Same with my brother. He went back to Vietnam, and the same thing. He met several of the people that he was fighting against and several of the others that he was friends with, and they all just hugged and welcomed each other.
That's just amazing.
Yeah. I mean, this is a war.
I don't think I'll ever do that for Iraq, but, you never know. I definitely probably wouldn't give them hugs, because I'm just not that guy.
But Steve definitely has been involved with the history of the USS Indianapolis for a long time. He knows many, many people, and that's why we're trying to get this fundraiser, because we believe that the state of Michigan in particular needs to know that Michigan had a part in that.
Big part.
99 sailors. The most sailors of any other state in the nation was on that ship from Michigan.
And so when you guys were getting all the permissions and, from Governor Whitmer and whatnot and Governor Snyder before that, why doesn't the state try to fund something like this?
Well, we've been working on that a little bit too, but there's I don't want to blame anybody, state or federal, anything like that.
No, I'm just
Congress or Senator Alyssa Slotkin, who I do know personally, yes. And when she was a U.S. rep, she honored Dick Thalen because of what Mike Rogers started for him too. And they had Richard Thalen Day. The Lansing mayor what's his name at that time? Moore. I forget his name. He honored Dick too. All of them did right at MLK Avenue at a Methodist church, I think it was. It was just in 2019 is what it was.
Yep.
And anyway, that's where I first met Alyssa, and wow, she didn't know anything about it either. And it's like, and I haven't personally talked to either Snyder or for Gretchen Whitmer either, but their offices are aware of this. I'm sure they are, stuff like that too.
But it's difficult to get politically connected to people that want to take an interest in something.
Well, they're busy with a lot of stuff, and I'm sorry to interrupt, but
no, they get constituents and bills and so forth.
Yeah.
And it's hard to get one of them to sit down and say, okay, I'm going to back this. I'm going to,
As we all know, sitting here, there's a lot of stuff going on in this country and the state too, of course. And we don't want to get into the politics now, but I will say this much: that President Donald Trump, on his first term, signed a bill to give the Congressional Gold Medal to Dick Thalen and all the rest of the survivors still alive. He signed that, and he's actually got a signature. And Dick, Edgar, Harold Bray, they're all happy that they had a signature from a president. Doesn't matter who it was. And Governor Whitmer signed something for him when they named the hall after Dick Thalen. Or was it the hall itself, or was it?
It's the hall.
Okay.
Our post is called the Morley S. Oates, VFW Post 701. The hall, the building itself, is called the Dick Thalen Hall.
Yep.
But Morley S. Oates was the second lieutenant in World War I who was killed in action in France, and he is buried in a French-American cemetery in France. Mm-hmm. So our post is named after him.
He was a member of the 119th Field Artillery, which was on Marshall Street here in town. I don't know if that unit's still around or not.
I am not sure.
It was when I was in the Guard in Ionia and Ann Arbor and Monroe. So I don't know, but he was part of that unit in World War I, more of the Oates. But anyway, Gretchen Whitmer and Gilchrist signed something honoring Dick Thalen when we named the post that day. They actually signed it, just like Trump signed that too. So I don't care what party you're from. They both honored them, all three of them.
Right. No,
and this is talking to four of them too.
You know, like we have the Save the Flag program for Civil War battle flags, and a lot of our history. You know, the guidons, everything that they would carry. And I'm just surprised, you know, especially with having 99, it seems like they would have something about the Indianapolis already.
No, that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah,
we're trying to put something right in the Hall of Justice, right behind the State Library,
and
for everybody to see.
And so you guys have been at this for 4 years, but, well, a lot longer than that for you.
Right.
And you guys have raised almost $20,000.
No,
but
it's just under 21 right now.
Just under 21?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's going to take a lot more. About how much would it cost to do this memorial/monument?
Okay, he's got the figures here. Do you want to read them, or do you want me to?
It's not total, but it's going to be about $200,000. But Steve was talking earlier about the current monuments that are being eroded and so forth, and they demanded that we have they insisted
required action.
Yeah, that we have a portion in here for maintenance that could be held in reserve, if you will, so that any maintenance could be paid for.
Or if anything happened to it, they could fix it. Or
not to stop right here real quick, but I was telling you about Indianapolis when it was the Chauvin thing, you know, and stuff, and the memorial, the Medal of Honor. They had a maintenance fund there, and a few $1 million cleaned all that up within a month, both of them.
Yeah.
And that's why this is very important that we have people contribute to this so we can put in that maintenance fund. This would help out possibly the Vietnam Memorial and the Law Enforcement Memorial and any others that go in there too.
Okay.
And that's why it's very important, so that it doesn't take out of taxpaying money. We have the fund. They would have the funds, the state of Michigan, to take it out of that.
But this fundraising effort of ours is, we've got down here an estimated $200,000, $90,000 for the memorial itself, which is going to be a marble memorial, $20,000 for sidewalks, architectural fees, $20,000, maintenance I already mentioned for $50,000. That's a total of $145,000. And then we wanted to have an additional $50,000 to be split between the person's family that saw the ship, Wilbur Clark Gwynn.
Yeah, Wilbur Chuck Gwynn, and that would be a scholarship. They named their scholarship after them. They nicknamed him Our Angel because he was the first one to saw him on the water, and nobody knew about it.
Yes.
So they named it after him.
Nobody even knew they were out there.
No, he found them by accident.
The saddest part is the good majority of the people died in the sinking of the ship, but there was 317 survivors.
Yeah.
And most of those were floating in the ocean, being eaten by sharks.
I was reading that, and I was going to bring that up. I mean, I couldn't imagine for 4 days floating in an ocean, and tiger sharks and all different types of sharks are.
Well,
so
right now,
just waiting your turn. You're just waiting your turn.
I mean, that's got to be frightening.
I have talked to two actual biologists that said there were two types of sharks for sure in that area. The oceanic white-tip sharks. Now, National Geographic interviewed Dick Thalen and a couple other survivors that are gone too, and those were the sharks that were actually bumping into them that Dick Thalen saw on them others too. They're on the endangered species list, that shark. Now, the tiger sharks were outside the area waiting for, I don't want to be gross on it, but the dead bodies and anybody that said, I'm swimming this island here by yourself, the tiger sharks will get you if you're by yourself.
Yeah, so they would form almost a circle and be together.
They were waiting for whatever comes their way. And while the oceanic one, they were swimming in between all of them, bumping them and all that stuff too. And this is from interviews I've interviewed from survivors themselves, including Dick Thalen.
To put it in context a little bit, I know almost everybody has seen or have heard of the movie Jaws.
Yes.
That one shark terrorized an entire community, but the captain of the ship that was trying to catch the shark, his little storyline in the movie was that he was on the Indianapolis.
Okay. Robert Shaw, the actor's name, yeah.
And he said you were just there, and you could see the shark's eyes roll over, and he was just eating the people in the water. He made it sound like a really horrific event. But that gave people a real sense of being afraid of sharks.
Yeah.
So if you can imagine, you're floating in the ocean, And sharks are just...
Well, sharks are a very vivacious creature.
Yeah.
I've caught one shark, and it was a mako. And as soon as we pulled it to the boat, we shot it in the head with a gun.
Wow.
And even after we shot it in the head, it was still trying to bite us when we got it on board.
Yeah?
Oh, geez.
181 pounds. And after that, and I saw that shark, I said, yeah, I'm good with swimming in the ocean. So I couldn't imagine floating for 4 to 5 days. And,
I know.
I've asked people that scuba dive a lot and biologists, listen, if you guys, and even cousins of mine that go scuba diving over in the Barrier Reef in Australia and out in the Caribbean, if you swam by sharks, oh yeah, many times. Do they bother you? No, they swim right by us. Why? Why did they not bother you and bother these guys? Because they were floating on the ocean like helpless prey. Mm-hmm. That's why they did it.
I've also heard a description from biologists also that when you're on the top of the water floundering around, a shark thinks that you're a sea turtle.
Yeah, or...
Yeah.
Yeah, and their favorite food is sea turtles, so they'll come up and grab you.
Yeah.
But if you just kind of like...
If you're swimming by them, they think you're another fish. Probably.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? But, I mean, it's still terrifying.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
I'm surprised, I
wouldn't go by
over
them.
300, 300 lived from this. And so, what do you guys do to raise money?
Well, we recently had the lug nuts on August 3rd on the 80th anniversary when these gentlemen were rescued. The 316, 37. I think it's 316 officially, but we'll say 317 for now. On that, and they were really nice to us out there too. And I'll give them kudos for that too, big time. You know, Dave Thalen, one of Dick's sons, threw out the first pitch and stuff. I was on the radio, where they asked me questions. I forget the guy. What's his name? That I've seen him many times. That does the lug nuts play-by-play. Mm-hmm. He works for another radio station here
And Dan.
I can't remember his name.
Okay.
Shoot me. I should know. But
anyway, that's the main thing we do for fundraising.
And we've done things in Grand Rapids, here in Lansing. A son of a survivor from Detroit, Doug Sinclair. His dad, Ray Sinclair, was on the ship, survived from Detroit. Detroit does have the most people, obviously, the biggest city in Michigan. They have over 40, and they had 19 survive. Lansing, I'm sorry. You want to go or you want?
Yeah.
Lansing had 5 and 3 survived. Grand Rapids had 9 and 2 survived, including my friend Bill Mulvey and stuff like that.
Once you guys get once you guys make the funding, how long will it take for this memorial to be built and completed?
Patton Monument in Grand Rapids, which is right down the street from where the Whitecaps play over there, stuff like that. I've talked to them for a long time, and they said when you give us the time, they'll say half the money. Right now it's 90. This is outdated, the 81. It's 90,000 now. We give them half the money for that, and they get the carving going and the small story, and then the names. And the names, of course, would be listed by cities, alphabetically in street. Obviously, Detroit will be first before Alpena. I think it's somebody from Alpena and stuff like that. We have 3 from the Upper Peninsula, including Harold Bray, a survivor, 2 lost at sea, 1 from Sault Ste. Marie, 1 from Lake Linden.
Similar to this.
Right. That's how it'll be right there.
Cities and names.
Yep.
Okay.
And it listed alphabetically in cities. Even there's towns like Greenville. There was a survivor from there.
Yeah.
Last name was Nelson. Then Coldwater had one. I think Monroe had one. And they're all over the state. And I said even the UP, 3 of them up there.
So if somebody wanted to donate, how would they donate? Is there a website? Or is there a place that you guys have designated where people could find it online? Or
we don't have a USS Indianapolis website to donate to. We just ask people to send contributions to the USS Indianapolis to the VFW Post 701.
Got the address in there?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the address is 123 North Rosemary, Lansing, Michigan 48917. But then designate on that is for the USS Indianapolis Memorial Fund. Also, we're going to be trying to contact major corporations in Michigan. Not so much out of Michigan, because we want this to be a Michigan project.
Exactly, yes.
So we're going to go for Michigan corporations and try to, educate them a little bit about the history. And we're going to be doing this as a history project, basically.
Yes, and so when say these corporations want to donate, right? They can, if they since the VFW 701 is involved and you guys are doing the fundraising, you guys can always write the tax donations off.
We are a 501c.
Yep.
So whoever donates can
write those off on their
Yeah.
taxes.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and I tell you, this is such a great piece of history that, man, I hope now more Michiganders will hear about the Indianapolis. But, I mean, it definitely needs to be, learned about.
We appreciate you doing this because we do need to get the word out. And I was at the Iowa Free Fair, too, where I grew up in Iowa and raised and born and went to high school there. And a few of them knew that, but I didn't have a big crowd there at that time on Veterans Day. They honored veterans there, too. And, by the way, I want to give kudos to one person here that's no longer with us. His name was Denny Craycraft.
Yes, Denny Craycraft.
You know Dave? You probably do. He was an ex-corrections officer, too, if I'm not mistaken.
So my buddy Doug Pickle and I, we would make Purple Heart plaques for killed in action families and Purple Heart recipients. Mm-hmm. And so when when his daughter and her foundation, Holly, was doing that at the park where a lot of their monuments and stuff, I actually awarded Holly a Purple Heart plaque in honor of her father.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Denny was a good friend of mine, too. I'm sorry to interrupt, but Denny and he gave me the idea for this whole thing. I want to give him kudos.
Oh, okay.
Because if you ever been to his park, and I ask anybody out there that's listening right now to go to Belding. I know Belding's out of the way. It's in between Lansing and Grand Rapids, a little bit higher up from Lansing and closer to Grand Rapids. It's worthwhile to see. They got the Michigan-Vietnam Wall shaped not like it is here in Lansing by county, but how it is in D.C. and stuff. And also they have a World War I, a World War II wall and stuff like that. I don't want to get into all what he did. He's got a topographical map of Indochina. So if your units were there, you point there. He's got the 9 that were killed from Greenville and Belding honored right there as you walk up to all this stuff.
Yeah.
We're in the Vietnam. And he's got a Korean War one, too. Mm-hmm. And my dad that served in World War II, my 2 uncles, their bricks right there. Plus my grandpa was World War I. He's got a brick there, too. And then I got cousins that we're working on now to get into the Vietnam. One of them's on there. There's another one we want to get on there, too. But I don't want to get too much in that.
Yeah, we're from the Indianapolis.
Right. But anyway, Denny, I want to say, Denny gave me a lot of ideas on this and a lot of insight. And that's why I called Dick Thalen that day when Denny was, wow, this is great. So just for now, I want to give kudos. Thank you, Denny, up in heaven right now. Mm-hmm. And to Holly. She's still around. I know Holly very well.
Yeah.
But anyway, I just want to say that.
So do you need phone numbers or?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to give them...
contact me, they can call me, Alan Batchelder, 517-449-8215.
And what we'll do, too, is when we post this podcast up, I have warfightersunited.com, and I can get a piece put on there that they can hyperlink and hopefully come to, 701 has a directory. Mm-hmm. I'm sure you got a Facebook and a website.
Yes.
Yeah, and so we can link that to them, and that way our listeners, it doesn't matter which part of the country you're in, every donation is better than no donation at all, and it's only going to get there if we all stick together and work as a team.
Yeah. You can take my name, too, Steve Hammond, 616-286-2227 if you have any questions.
Yeah, and if you want to learn more, where would somebody look if they wanted to learn more about the Indianapolis? I know you said you had a few books that you've read.
Yeah, they've actually got one out recently that's pretty good that I haven't read yet. It's about, I think there was 24 African-American sailors that were all lost at sea in the ship, and it's about all of them, which is very inspirational to see. See, my belief as a historian, and I'm a member of the Michigan Historical Society, too, by the way, is it doesn't show the evils of segregation. Now, we all know segregation was unfair. We all know that, okay? But it was actually evil, and it cost those men their lives because they were below decks, and they weren't allowed above decks because they were most of them were stewards. Now, do you want me to share 3 of them that were, like that real quick about? Okay. One of them, a survivor, Ensign John Woolston, who later lived in Hawaii, that I did talk to, but he told all of us that him and a steward was in one of the chow halls, or I call them chows, it's probably whatever it is on the ship, when the torpedo hit. He took a chicken sandwich and coffee the guy served him. They were the only 2 in there, and all of a sudden, wham, bam, the torpedoes hit. They helped each other across the room, and then all of a sudden, I don't know if it was a porthole or a side that was bent over, whatever. So let's go. And the guy, you know, he was black. He says, I got arrested. He says, John, don't take too long. And that's the last you've ever seen. And of course, and a real grim thing, and I don't mean to be gross, everybody, but this is war, okay? One guy, a survivor, I forget his name, when the ship was listing up, kind of like you see in the Titanic, it's the same thing with the Indy. 2 stewards got up above deck. They went to run over. He yelled at them, don't do it, because they were going to go right into the propellers. Now, either they couldn't hear him or they just ignored him, just went. He saw it all. They got cut up.
Oh.
And he says, this is going to haunt me probably the rest of my days, and it was really sad. But this book is all about them, the recent one. Now, the books I recommend is one by Sarah Vladeck and Lynn Vincent, 2 friends of mine from California. They got the whole story of when it was commissioned, FDR visit, blah, 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 the whole thing, and even when they found the ship years later.
Right, and so they've actually found it. It's
Indianapolis.
It's a good, 80,000 feet under the sea, or?
Well, it's 3.5, 4 miles down.
3.5, 4 miles
the deepest part
down.
of the ocean ever, way deeper than the Titanic.
Well, see, and I wonder, I bet you a good portion of those guys that were inside the ship that never got out are probably still there.
Well, their remains might be there. It's hard to say. I don't want to get into the biology type thing, too, but basically, let's just say, like the Titanic, that's their graveyard.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I do believe, I know they salvaged the Titanic, but I really feel when a ship sinks, just leave there in honor of those people that lost their lives.
Kind of like the Arizona.
Right. Yeah,
Arizona, that's another one,
and
too.
they encapsulate people who were on there and served in Pearl Harbor. And
everybody's still down
there. They swim them down, put them into the
ashes,
ship, so they're with all the guys that they fought with.
Yep. Yeah, that's just how I believe. I really do. But, somebody, it's like going to a graveyard, basically.
Yeah.
Hey, just leave their remains alone, okay? This is to honor them, okay? And there is, like they said, plenty of books. Indianapolis itself is what I recommend too, and I'm going to give you a personal book too right here. You don't mind me?
Yeah, go ahead.
The other way they can check it out is just simply Google it.
Google up the USS Indianapolis,
and they'll have links to whatever they want to read.
This has all the survivors, over 100 survivors, including Dick Thalen and Bill Mulvey from Michigan and Harold Bray too in here, and I'm giving this book to you.
Oh, thank you. I totally appreciate that.
It is a little outdated, but basically it's all still in there, true to life, of what they said. This is by them survivors.
Yeah,
not
this
any
is a
authors.
book that was based on the survivors and what they talked about.
Now
I'll definitely have to read that.
We really appreciate what you're doing here, Eric.
Yep, we definitely. And there's other 2 books, too, I'd recommend, like In Harm's Way by Doug Stanton, who is an author from Traverse City, by the way.
Okay.
I keep in contact with him. There's another one called Fatal Voyage, which is pretty good, by Dan Kurzman.
Fatal Voyage?
Fatal Voyage.
Fatal Voyage.
It's very good. But anyway, the best book right now I would recommend is Indianapolis by Sarah Vladeck and Lynn Vincent.
Okay.
That covers just about everything. Because in his history, you get more stuff released. Now, the Indianapolis, basically, they shut up about it for years. Matter of fact, as Dick Thalen told me, he didn't even tell his wife about it until the first reunion in '60, and he said, well, she wasn't happy with him. In fact, his son, Dave, who I wish was here today, he's from Lansing area, threw out the first pitch, lug nuts. Dave didn't know much about it either until he saw the movie Jaws. He mentioned it to his mom about, hey, there's a ship they talked about there in the Indianapolis. The shark says, go talk to your dad. Why? He was on the ship. What?
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
that'd be a shocker right there.
You're talking about.
But that's what I'm saying. That's when the public first got a inkling of the
even though
in Jaws.
Yeah, exactly. And finally, through the years, the U.S. Navy is releasing and the Department of Defense and all that are releasing top secret stuff that was then. And it gets that way anyway. I've been to the Ford Library in Ann Arbor.
Yeah.
And back when I went there like 8 years ago when I was taking a history class in Grand Valley State, only 5% was still confidential. The rest of it, you could read whatever. And it will be any president or anybody as they get along through the years. The more people pass away, blah, 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 all that stuff too. So, but anyway, basically, that's why Sarah Vladeck and Lynn Vincent did an excellent job in research all the current records and everything. There's a lot of names I could mention too that helped out. That Bill Tody, a former admiral, and the captain of a submarine USS Indianapolis, who I've met many times, a great American right there. Let me tell you, that he was a survivor of 9/11 at the Pentagon too, by the way. That's how all the stuff he did. But he knew Dick Thalen, he knew all the survivors well. He helped research part of that book, and he's in that book, too.
Okay.
But the Indianapolis is the one I recommend over all of them, by Sarah Vladeck, Lynn Vincent.
Well, I'm hoping that it won't take you guys too much longer. I know there's a hill to climb here.
There's a hill to climb, and we're just going to have to start making it public and start contacting people.
Yeah, and
we've just been doing small fundraisers.
Yeah,
we got to go.
You're gonna have to go bigger, and just kind of like we did. Maybe you should throw a gala or something.
Yeah.
And get a guest speaker and raise you some decent funding. When I did my gala for the flag, it probably raised $12,000 in one night.
Wow, that's good. That's excellent.
There's a lot of avenues. But I'm glad to have you guys on Warfighters United. And if you want to learn more about not only the Indianapolis, but anything to do with veterans, whether it's transitional resources programs, if you have TBI or you're having issues, there's a 22 Project. It's all on warfightersunited.com. You can listen to our podcast on Facebook at Warfighters United Podcast. And if you want to email me, or if you have any questions about this and how to contact Al or Al or Steve, then you can always contact me and I can get you in touch with them. But let's all get together and band to make this memorial happen and make this work.
Can I say one closing thing here?
Yeah.
All right. This is a project that I feel the state of Michigan and any American can help us out with, and I know they will. I know it takes time and all, but on July 30th, 1945, 2 torpedoes struck and hit the USS Indianapolis. When they were finally rescued 5 days later, only 3 17 survived. They didn't know that they carried the atomic bomb components until they were healing in Guam. Most servicemen paid the ultimate sacrifice not knowing they helped end that horrible war. And those that did, like Dick Thalen, Harold Bray, and Bill Mulvey, they went through hell before they found out about it. Americans need to know about it, and people from the state of Michigan need to know about it. And I give kudos to any politician, I don't care what you belong to, President Trump, Governor Whitmer, Senator Slotkin, for backing all of this on here. Now, I didn't talk to all three of them except for Alyssa Slotkin,
Right.
But they do support stuff like this.
Yeah, I mean, this is something that should be supported. And the way you just explained it was perfect. We can't let history like that die, and this is one way to keep it in the public's eye. Because if you take it out of the public, it gets forgotten about. And that's what we don't want to happen.
Right.
Especially with such a huge component being transferring the parts of the atomic bomb to help end that war.
Yeah.
So, hey, fellas, I appreciate you guys coming on Warfighters United. And let's hope this will do good for you.
Well, thank you very much.
Eric, our pleasure, and thank you for having us.
Yeah.
All right. And, go down to Post 701, VFW 701 on Rosemary at any time. They do a lot of events down there, and do you got anything coming up soon?
We basically we've got a couple. We got a funeral coming up Wednesday that we had to perform, but we got some people coming in to put on some bands and so forth. Usually on Friday nights.
On Friday nights,
yeah.
And then while you're down there listening to those bands, you can always support the USS Indianapolis.
I want to give kudos to the Lansing Lugnuts too.
Yeah.
They've helped us, and we're doing 3 more things with them next year, which will release as it goes on. But we're going to have another, they have a veterans thing there at the end of May about it, and they want us there too. And they're going to do a special one again for us at the end of July, beginning of August.
Well, thank you, Lugnuts, and thank you, Michigan.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
To speak with Eric Calley and Warfighters United, you can email him at eric@warfightersunited.com or call 517-699-0111.